We're going to look at an example of two computers communicating with each other. In particular, this computer is going to communicate with this server. And they're going through this bridge. So this computer, you'll notice its MAC address is AAAA1111. This server's address is AAAA4444. So you'll notice that the first two sections of their MAC addresses are exactly the same. So from now on, I'll just call the server 4444, and I'll call the computer 1111. So 1111 addresses packets to 4444. Now later on in this training, we'll talk about how it gets that address. In other words, how it determines how to address those packets. But 1111 has addressed those packets. Those packets are sent into this bridge. Now, if this was a hub, all that would happen is that when those packets went into the hub, they would just come out of all of the active ports. But since it's a bridge, the bridge makes intelligent decisions. So what the bridge does is it says, okay, well, the source was 1111. The destination is 4444. So what I need to do is to look at my table and determine whether I have a destination 4444 and a particular port for that destination. And as you can see, this bridge was just installed. There's nothing in the table. So this bridge does not have a way to send the packets straight to the correct port. So what it will do then is it will flood the packets out of all of its active ports except for the one that it came in. And you might ask, well, why except for the one that it came in? What if it's in that segment? Well, if it's in that segment, then the electricity has already gotten to those computers. In other words, if there's a hub that is in this segment with this 1111 computer, and those computers are connected, then that message has already gotten to those computers. And the bridge knows that. So it says, okay, well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to send it out to all of my ports, all of my active ports, except for the one that it came in. But before I do, who are you and where did you come from? So it looks at the packet and it says, oh, okay, well, you came into my E4 port, and you are 1111. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add you to my table. So it makes an entry into its table that says E4 and then the MAC address of that computer. Well, you might think, well, that really didn't do anything because what ended up happening was it went out all those segments anyway. But the bridge has just started to learn. So now, the server now wants to send information back to this computer. So the server addresses a packet with 1111. The packet comes up to the bridge. The bridge now can look at its table and it knows exactly where 1111 is. It knows that it's going to send that packet straight out its E4 port, and it's not going to bother any of these other segments. But before it sends it, it's going to add E24, the port that it came in, and then the MAC address of the server that sent it. So as you can see, as each of these segments communicate through the bridge and the bridge builds its table, then each of the segments will be recognized by the bridge, and that way a segment can communicate directly to another segment without bothering any of the other segments. Not only that, but bridges and switches have the capability to keep packets within their own segment. In other words, if this computer AAAA.1111, if it was going to send information to a computer that is in that same segment, then when the bridge received those packets and it had learned all of the addresses of the computers in that segment, then it would look at that and it would say, okay, well, this came in my E4 port, and I'm going to send it out my E4 port. In other words, that's what it looks like. That's what's in my table, is that its source address was my E4 port, and its destination address is my E4 port. So what the bridge or the switch will do at that point is it will stop it right there. In other words, it won't send any information out anywhere else. Now, that is a tremendous advantage, and that's what bridges and switches are primarily used for, because what if this happens to be the AutoCAD area of my company? In other words, what we're doing is we are transferring huge files between computers. Well, if those huge files are transferred within my own segment, they don't bother any of the other segments. So that's what bridging and switching is all about.